Good morning, everyone. Welcome to a new episode of Recovery. I am Alain Kapatashungu, and I'm the co-founder of Front Door. I'm really delighted this morning because I get to chat with Jack Cotton, who is with us with this morning. Jack is the founder of Cotton Real Estate, now Sotheby's International Realty. Jack is a really successful agent, luxury real estate agent. He's also an advisor and a coach to other luxury real estate agents. But first of all, Jack, how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing great. It's freezing cold outside here, but otherwise it's fine.
Awesome. Same here, pretty much. Um, so for those of you guys who don't know Jack, so Jack has an incredible experience in the real estate industry, spanning almost 5 decades. He's based in Osterville, which is in Massassuchets. I'm always struggling with that specific name of a state.
Cape Cod. Most people know Cape Cod, yeah.
Cape Cod, okay. So Jack is one of the most esteemed real estate professionals in Cape Cod. He has built his career on values that I really value as well, that I really like, such as integrity and leadership. He specializes in luxury properties and Cape Cod's waterfront residences. And I really like the fact that he's adamant about training and education in order to better serve his customers and clients. So I'm really excited that we get to learn from him today, and hopefully he can share some of his experience with us. So Jack, to pretty much get us started, could you try to describe or walk us through your, let's say, quote unquote, typical workday during this pandemic?
Well, that's an interesting question. Yeah, the pandemic. So we still have that going on.
Absolutely.
And a year ago we had no clue that it was going to be happening.
Yes.
And then in March, I thought it was over. I mean, I thought we were done for like 2 years. Anyway, so basically what I've really strived to do is to have things not change all that much. I mean, obviously we're not traveling as much.
Absolutely.
And March, April, and May, in the first week of June, we didn't do much real estate.
Okay.
Because nothing was really happening here. But I saw encouraging signs. I mean, we had a meeting here in our company in January.
Okay.
And we're just starting to hear, or maybe in February, we're starting to hear about this COVID thing. And my theory's always been that, people are always going to look for real estate in rare and beautiful places. They typically want to be somewhere within 450 miles or roughly 1 tank of gas from where they live. There's always exceptions to that. But if you look at that model, my market, Cape Cod, is within like a third of the population of the whole country is within 450 miles of here. So, if you can't fly, you can't train, you can always jump in your car and go somewhere. And we are a beautiful place to go. And that's what happened. Around June, awesome. Everybody started coming here to shelter on Cape Cod. So my typical day is, waking up, hopefully. And it's always good when you see daylight in the morning.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I begin by reading. Then I do my affirmations. Then I read the news after that. Awesome. And then I check my schedule and see what I'm going to be doing today. And my schedule is always a little bit flexible, right?
Okay.
And so over the past 9 or 10 months, there's been a lot more Zooming than there has been in-person meetings. But we're back to showing properties pretty much normally now. Okay. We initiated a COVID showing protocol way back when to give buyers confidence and to make sellers comfortable having people come through their homes. So we have a whole written protocol with a process for getting to see a house. So
that's awesome.
Just keeping busy. We've been very busy. Tons of Zooms, tons of webinars. But anyway,
awesome.
That's all over the place. But that's pretty much it. It's been busy, though. I'll say that.
That is awesome. It's just pretty much the new normal now. Those bunches of Zoom and things of that nature. So
Alain, here's the thing.
Yeah.
I'm in a second home resort market.
Okay.
And so even before COVID, my clients weren't here. So we were doing stuff like this already.
Got it.
We were already doing virtual showings. We were already doing FaceTime live showings. We were already doing Zoom showings. We were already doing listing appointments via Zoom. We were, I mean, not to the extent that we're doing it now.
Absolutely.
We already knew what to do because, I believe firmly. I mean, you were right, almost 5 decades. I never looked at it 5 decades, 47 years in May.
Yes.
But I really believe in my career that I've noticed that second home markets really set the trend for all real estate. Because we have to innovate more. We were the first people, this is how old I am, okay? So to present an offer via a fax machine. Second home markets that was where that occurred first.
Agreed.
Because the sellers are not on scene for 9 months of the year. So we were always dealing remotely. It's just become more and more accepted and more easy to deal remotely now with Zoom and FaceTime Live and all that. But we were already doing this maybe in 5% of our business. Now we're doing it in 80% of our business, but we already knew what to do.
That is awesome. That is really fascinating to also know that as a luxury real estate agent, as an agent, with your wealth of experience, obviously, like how did you stay on top of not only your customer but also your clients' needs? Pretty much, you talked about FaceTiming, you talked about Zoom and things of that nature, but how did you manage pretty much to just kind of keep that conversation going? Well,
I hate to say this, but there's some silver linings to the whole COVID cloud.
Yes.
And one of the many silver linings to the COVID cloud is it gave us an excuse to call people up and say, Alain, how are you doing? Just calling to see how you're doing. How's your family? Is everybody well? Is everybody healthy?
Agreed.
And the conversation may or may not turn to real estate, but just letting you know, you have a great excuse to call people now. It's so funny. I was going to an appointment the other day. I was in my car. I was just about at my destination, and my phone rang, and this guy calls up. I think his name was Ben. I forgot his name, but he goes, "This is Ben from ABC Company. You bought a microphone for me 3 years ago." Wow. And I vaguely remember this. Okay, so he's like, "You bought a microphone for me 3 years ago. I'm just calling to see how you're doing. Are you healthy? Is everyone in your family healthy?" And I said, "Yes, we're all great." And he called me at kind of a bad time. But what really struck me was that this guy who sells microphones was doing what I tell other people to do all the time, what I coach other agents to do all the time.
Incredible.
And I knew what he was doing, but guess what? I still felt good. He made me feel good because he was checking up to see how I felt and how my family was and if I was healthy. Yes. And even though I totally got what he was doing, it works. I felt great, and I really appreciated his call. And all he said was, "I'm here. I'm still here. If you need me." It was like a 15-second conversation. That's powerful. What we can do too. And here's a guy selling microphones doing this, and he hadn't talked to me for 3 years. So this is a great excuse to catch up with people you haven't talked to for a long time. That is awesome. That's such a and I kept hearing this from here and there from really agents who are. You see, I think, Jack, there's a difference, and you can see it with companies and agents who are not use the word failing, but not being able to succeed in these times. Right. And I think that COVID, what was interesting with COVID is that it just created a clear separation between, those agents who are really doing this for the people, who are really, really interested about knowing what they're doing and how they can help, and just the monetary aspect of it all. It just creates a clear difference between these people are just reaching out to really know how I'm doing, obviously to talk about, real estate a little bit, but there's an element of pretty much some type of a family element to it, which is not to some degree to so many agents, and that's why you're seeing a lot of them actually failing at that. Right. And you know what else? I hate to say this too, because I shouldn't be like doing stereotypical things, but it's one of the few advantages to being old is like, okay, now it's COVID. It's always something. I mean, literally, it's always something. And so when the COVID came, it's like, fine, what do we do now? I mean, I've been through everything. Recessions, near depressions, hurricanes. I mean, you name it, we've been through it. It's absolutely. And there's always going to be something coming down the pike that gives you an excuse to check out if you want to. Agreed. You can check out, and you can say, oh, the market's not going to do anything because of this. Yes. So with experience and old age, you start to think like, this is not fun. This is not good. This is bad for a lot of people. Yeah. But we can do this. And what I've noticed over my almost 5 decades of the business is that no matter what's happening, in the world, in the economy, there are always people making money as a result of it.
Absolutely.
And so while it's crushingly sad to see people in my local restaurants just dying, and certain transportation businesses dying, other businesses are on fire, as you know.
Agreed.
And so you just have to identify who those people are because they're buying real estate.
Agreed. Completely agree.
The next crisis will be the next crisis we have. Heavens knows what it'll be, but there'll be a whole different group making money in that crisis, and we just have to identify them. There's always something.
Exactly.
Always something.
Yes, absolutely. It's always a question of identifying the opportunities and being able to respond to them. Always, pretty much.
Yeah.
So, to you, Jack, what is the one element that was overlooked, in our industry, and that COVID just pretty much validated as an undeniable demand, something that is here for you, something that is here to stay? What is that one thing for you?
Well, it's just that real estate in rare and beautiful places is the cornerstone of people's lives and their families. Yes. And it's where you go to reconnect, to recharge, to rejuvenate, to reconnect, to repair.
Agreed.
And it became even more important. Everybody left the city and came to the country. Everybody wanted more space, but under all is the land. And something else I've noticed in my career, speaking of old, is that I've got a new seller now who turned 100 years old in July.
Wow.
And he's like my fourth or fifth seller who's over 100 years old.
Wow.
And I've dealt with these over 100-year-old sellers, and the one common thread that I've noticed with all of them is their connection to their real estate, their connection to their land, their willingness and their love of getting dirt in their fingers.
Absolutely.
And just really being connected with their land. It makes people live a long time. And I think that somehow people knew deep within themselves, maybe not consciously, but subconsciously, that okay, we have a pandemic. I need to retreat. I need to repair to a place with space, with views, with land, with air, with water, where I can be with my family, where I can walk, and that's really what happened as a result of this. Really, the whole connection to real estate was deepened with people in our nation and in our world.
Agreed. And it's special, even and especially true for, I've been noticing that for really large cities, from the New York and the San Francisco and the Los Angeles of the world, they are just looking for, as you said, for space and water and places where I can just have a garden. So pretty much they're fleeing their apartments and things of that nature, pretty much.
Do you realize if you live in a tall building, you walk? I shouldn't talk like this, but you walk into the lobby, you have to wait in line to get in the elevator. Only one family can use the elevator. Then you got to wipe it down between each person. Wow. It can take you 45 minutes to get back to your place.
I didn't know that.
So
it's incredible.
But there again, the market always corrects. So prices in New York were getting out of control, for example.
Agreed.
And now they've come down, and the market's back on fire again because the prices came down to a point where people re-engage in the marketplace. So, and you can't keep New York down anyway. New York is New York. So
absolutely. So given the expertise that you have, let's talk a little bit about Cape Cod.
Sure.
Can you talk to us about what's happening there? What are you seeing? What are you observing? Not only on a transaction standpoint, has there been any movement since COVID hit, pretty much, or it's just people are still buying home in that area? What are you seeing?
Well, I was a little nervous at first because I was talking to agents in Florida, for example, in say March and April and May, and they were selling homes like crazy. I mean, people were buying homes sight unseen. And I'm like, what? I'm thinking that, well, I can see that. I would go to Florida too. Why would you come here? It's freezing and it's rain and drizzle and sleet. Why would you? But as soon as June got here, everybody came. And they never left. So all the summer people who came for the summertime, they're still here. If you try to drive around here, one of the trade-offs of being in Cape Cod as a year-rounder is that when the people leave, and we love the summer people because we depend on them, we love them.
Yes.
And but then we have the fall and the winter where they're all gone, and we don't have massive traffic jams everywhere. And it doesn't take a half an hour to find a parking space. It's like summertime here all the time now. Nobody left. We have a private school down the road. Their enrollment doubled. So people from New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, Boston, they never left. So they're all still here. So we're having summertime all the time in terms of our traffic and population. And the stores, I mean, gosh, you can't find a place to park at the grocery store. They're
That's
all
incredible.
Everybody's here. So as a result, also, there's no inventory.
Yeah.
So we have a real problem with inventory right now. I've got a list of people who want to buy stuff.
But no homes.
You could say, Jack, I got $10 million. I want to buy a really nice house on the water. I'm like, well, okay, I'll keep you posted. I'm working on it.
Wow.
I'm calling people trying to get them to sell, but nobody wants to sell either.
That is definitely not the answer you would expect for saying, hey, Jack, I have $10 million and looking to buy a home in front of the water.
And you can't find it.
That's incredible.
And I'll tell you what else is crazy about the national market.
Okay.
Because everywhere you look in this country, anyway, real estate's on fire. People are buying like crazy, right? I don't care if it's Miami or wherever it is. But here's something that people don't notice. It's 100% USA buyers.
Wow. No
foreign buyers, because they can't come here.
That's incredible.
So whenever this vaccine kicks in, whenever COVID starts to taper off, and when the foreign international buyers come back here, it's going to get even more crazy.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah, so there's going to be more pressure on the buy side than there is right now.
I didn't even think about it. It is true. It's actually U.S. buyers. Wow.
It's all U.S. buyers. There's no foreign buyers. The only foreign buyers now are ones who are willing to buy sight unseen and not even come here after they own the house. Because you can't, people can't come here right now.
Yes. Wow,
so anyway,
incredible.
When they can come here, that's even more buyer pressure, and it's going to make inventory even worse. So
agreed.
Anyway, it's a good time to be in real estate.
It's a good time to be in real estate, right? For sure. I agree with that assessment 100%.
Yeah.
Do you think, in your opinion, that this hiatus that we're going through will force or already forced agents to reimagine how work gets done? Like, do you think that we have to be now more than ever more attentive, more thorough with our clients, or do you think that it doesn't really make a difference?
I don't think it makes a difference. The bar is being raised all the time anyway, no matter what's happening. All that COVID did was, if you think about evolution, how slow evolution is, we got basically 7 years of evolution in 7 months.
Agreed.
In our business practices, in our technology practices, you see it in your business.
Yes.
So we've fast forwarded in terms of everything, and that's
agreed.
But the bar's being raised anyway. People have shorter attention spans and higher expectations, and we have to raise the bar of our services to meet that.
That's awesome. That is so true. This is something that I wanted to get to because I know that you also coach some other agents. So since you're also a coach, what advice would you give to new agents pretty much starting in the business right now in the midst of what we're going through? What should be their focus? What would you tell them pretty much?
Well, number one is the industry is becoming more and more generic, as is everything, right? Absolutely. So as everything becomes more generic, you have to become more unique. You have to have unique selling propositions, USPs. Awesome. You have to have value. Here's the thing. The real estate industry is turning more and more into a toll taker business where agents are seen as toll takers on the get your home sold highway. And when the more we get seen as a commodity, the only way I can compete with you is to lower my price.
Agreed.
But if I'm a value enhancer, I no longer have to compete on price. I can compete on the value that I bring to the table. So as a new person, you need to, I always tell people to sweat the competition, SWET. What are the strengths? What are the weaknesses? E stands for everything they do, and T stands for turn it around to create your USPs. So become an expert in pricing, become an expert in values, become an expert in market preparation, become an expert in demonstrating property rather than showing property. No, demonstrate. So we take showing to the next level by demonstrating property.
That is powerful. Also.
Yeah. And then obviously become a negotiation expert. So people more and more want to deal with experts. So if you're new to the business, especially if you're young, I mean, when I was 21 when I started, and I looked like I was 15. And so I learned quickly that if I was going to be taken seriously by older people, I had to be seen as an expert.
Yes.
And the number one area of expertise to start with first is becoming an expert in your market, in values, understand the benchmarks, understand, you know, what it costs to build in that market, understand who the buyers are, where they come from, what kind of lines of work they're typically in. So really study your market and become an expert. Awesome. That's critical.
That is awesome. That's such a, that is really, really powerful. So this is a more personal or direct question to you. What are some of the lessons that you've learned about yourself during this pandemic that you could share with us that you didn't know, or that you just pretty much rediscovered, if you can say that?
Yeah, this sounds funny. I didn't discover anything I didn't really learn anything I didn't already know.
Okay.
But I deepened my learning of the things that I already knew.
That's awesome.
So number one, I learned that health is everything.
Absolutely.
I mean, I deal with millionaires and billionaires on a regular basis.
Yes.
And none of them you can't buy health, right?
Absolutely. Agreed.
I mean, they get sick. I mean, just like anyone else. So health is everything, and that's what comes first. And family is right up there. And so, for example, in the middle of the market craziness last summer, I took August off.
Oh, wow.
And because I'd had enough. And basically took my family, we took our boat, went to Nantucket, and we spent a month on our boat in Nantucket.
That is
I did work for my phone and stuff like that, but basically I don't need to be in this craziness.
Yes.
Right. Because this stuff is more important, because health with your family and time with your family are more critical, and that was really important. The other thing I sort of knew is that you can't give up. So, for example, I was doing all these Zoom calls, right?
Yes.
And I'm going to be careful not to offend anybody, but here I go. I was doing all these Zoom calls, and like half the time, the other people, even realtors, they look like they just get out of bed. I mean, they're wearing sweatshirts and sweatpants, and
wow.
You know, I mean, remember one guy, the hair was all up, and I'm like, no, even if I don't have appointments with a person today, I'm up, I'm clean. I wore a tie. I wore a tie even with no place to go.
Yes.
So, because you don't know. And
exactly.
You put a tie on and it just sets the tone for me as an older agent. But, you know, so basically you don't give up. You go there because you don't know what's going to happen. It's like, you know, it's like if you're a baseball player and you hit the ball, you don't know if it's going to go out of the park or go up in the air and somebody's going to catch it. You just run your butt off. You run your butt off to first base.
Absolutely.
And if you get called out, whatever, but at least you tried. Always try. Never give up.
I really love the point that you just shared there. And I think for me, to kind of piggyback what you just said, it's even mentally. Like I have to, since you cannot go to the office and things of that nature, you just have to be in a position where you are at least dressed. It's just for your psyche. It's just you feel better. You feel like something is actually happening even though you are still at home. So it makes sense.
And the more I saw other people, it just clicked with me even more. Like I can't fall into that level of laziness.
Absolutely, I agree with that. To kind of finish us off, what is? I would like to know, what are some of your business goals this year? What are you looking to achieve on a business standpoint? What are you focusing on right now?
Just focusing on, you know, how do I say this? Just focusing on doing what I do with more ease and more grace.
Awesome. That's awesome.
So I'm happy with my numbers from last year. Okay. I'm not trying to be number one. I'm not trying to set a record. I spend a lot of time working with other agents, helping them. But my goal for me is to do what I do with more ease and more grace.
That is powerful.
Yeah.
I am definitely taking that sentence from you.
Okay.
I think that when somebody will ask me what is my objective this year, that's exactly what I always want. I think it's powerful because it's all on you, right? And I think we get caught up sometimes by, like as you say, I'm happy with my numbers, and you always have this. Okay, I'm gonna try to beat the numbers of last year, things of that nature. But being better with yourself, I think that's really powerful.
Yeah, because I'm not really competing with anyone. I compete
Absolutely.
with myself. Yeah,
I love it.
I don't care what other people do.
Absolutely.
In fact, my office, I'm in trouble with my office because they want to list all the ranking of all the agents.
Okay.
And I just leave me out of it. I don't want to. Oh, but you
Wow.
rank number. But you're like number X. And I'm like,
Okay.
leave me out of it. You don't use my picture. Don't use my name. Give it to the next person down. I'm out of it. That's not what I don't care about that.
That's
all I care about is what I do on my own, and more ease, more grace for 2021.
That is great, because that's just not what you're chasing. So that's awesome.
No.
Thank you, Jack. Recovery Season 2, Episode 3 with Jack Cotton is now done. You can watch this episode on YouTube and on all platforms streaming podcasts. And remember, in the recovery, don't just get back to the same place, but strive to get to a better place. Thank you very much, Jack. It was an honor to be able to chat with you today.
Thanks for such great questions.
I appreciate your time.
Thanks for making me think a little deeply. I appreciate that.
Oh, thank you. It was my pleasure. I will get back to you in a few weeks once we are ready for to edit it, and then I'm gonna send it to you personally. And hopefully, when this whole thing gets settled, we can get vaccine and things of that nature. We'll have to grab lunch someday.
I'd love that. Do you get over here much? Are you in France all the time? Or?
No, actually, I get to come to the US. Pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But like, you can't come now, right?
No, not now. Definitely not now.
Right. So that's why I'm saying there's no international buyers here.
Exactly.
Because nobody can come here.
That's incredible. I didn't know that aspect. It's even more impressive now to know that.
Yeah.
Wow. That's incredible. Thank you very much for your time. Have a good day ahead, and stay safe and healthy, and God bless you.
You as well. Bye-bye.
Absolutely. Bye-bye.